from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 10.
We just before we were going, we were wondering if there's like any questions you could ask just about the inmate that wandered off.
Nope.
No, there's nothing.
Yep. So you guys can leave the property and you can talk to Josh Helmer.
Okay. And no comment on how this is the second one in the last couple of weeks?
The search continues at this hour for the man who law enforcement considers to be a dangerous fugitive. 37-year-old Timothy Beaulieu Jr. walked away from a rehab facility in Fargo last night.
And now people living near there are worried about what could happen before he's caught. Valley News Team's Courtney Lockie talked with neighbors who say this sort of thing is happening too often.
For the second time in the last 2 weeks, another dangerous fugitive has wandered off from Center Inc. Authorities say Timothy Beaulieu signed up to go to a local church and never came back. We talked with a handful of people staying at the facility. They say this kind of a thing happens all the time. It has people living near there like Kayla Berg on edge.
It's scary. I have 2 kids that live in this house. And when I bought the house, I really didn't think about Center being down the street.
Beaulieu was sent here to serve out the rest of his federal sentencing and was going to be released by the end of January, leaving other neighbors like Julia Wilson scratching their heads.
It makes me question if they want to be a better person or not after they made their mistakes.
We brought their concerns and our questions to the people at Center Inc., but we didn't have much luck. We just before we were going, we were wondering if there's like any questions you could ask just about the inmate that wandered off.
Nope.
No, there's nothing.
Yep. So you guys can leave the property and you can talk to Josh Helmer.
Okay. And no comment on how this is the second one in the last couple of weeks? Although officials with Center Inc. didn't talk to us, law enforcement did. They tell us even though this fugitive has a violent past, there is no danger to the public. But the people living near the facility tell us it's happening too frequently and they want it to stop. In Fargo, Courtney Lockie, Valley News Live.
Once again, Beaulieu Jr. is 5'8" and weighs 218 pounds. He was last seen wearing a brown overcoat, black zip-up jacket, red t-shirt, blue jeans, and red sneakers. Anyone with information is urged to contact police.
Other than Beaulieu, a felon serving a federal sentence for possessing a firearm recently walked away from Center Inc. He was found 2 days later. And there's also the case involving Brenda Cardis. She went missing after she left Center Inc. last summer. Her remains were found near the Red River in South Fargo in August. Police tell us her death is still under investigation.
2 people are in custody after a dramatic scene in an East Grand Forks neighborhood this afternoon. Police say they were serving a search warrant at a home on the 600 block of 10th Street Northwest when they say the 2 men barricaded themselves in the basement. At one point, one of the men indicated he had a gun and refused to come out. Eventually, 60-year-old Gregory Boldu and 51-year-old Bradley Boldu came out. They were arrested on controlled substance and firearms charges.
Grand Forks County deputies are asking for your help in finding this man. His picture's right up on your screen now. They say Tony Hernandez is wanted for aggravated assault and domestic violence. If you have any information about his whereabouts, call authorities.
As investigators look for clues into what caused a Black Hawk helicopter to go down, the family that owns the property where the fatal chopper crashed yesterday has raised an American flag near the site. The flag went up this morning on the farm in Kimball, near where the helicopter crashed into a line of trees, killing all 3 people on board. The family says they will put up a permanent flagpole next summer.
Everybody's just standing by waiting for somebody to say, you know, let's do this now, or it's a great community, and you know, everybody supports the military, and you know, we just want to make sure that, you know, everybody gets included, and you know, the families know that we're thinking of them.
National Guard officials say family members of the 3 soldiers killed have been notified of the deaths. The names of the soldiers won't be released to the public until tomorrow.
The I-35W Mississippi River Bridge in Minneapolis is lit up in red, white, and blue to honor those killed in the crash. All flags at the Minnesota State Capitol were lowered to half-staff today as well. Last night, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, a former National Guard soldier for Minnesota, called the crash a tragic loss for the state.
And in North Dakota, flags are being lowered to half-staff for a different reason. Governor Doug Burgum has directed all government agencies to fly the U.S. and state flags at half-staff in observance of National Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day, which is tomorrow.
Investigators are digging into the background of the suspected Florida Naval Station shooter to determine the Saudi Air Force officer's motive and whether it was connected to terrorism. Officials have identified the suspect as an aviation officer in the Saudi Air Force. The shooter opened fire in a classroom building this morning, leaving 4 people dead, including himself, and multiple people wounded.
New details tonight in the case of a woman who was allegedly robbed of nearly $14,000 after offering someone a ride. Police suspect Patricia Villanueva was targeted by a mother and daughter. Villanueva says she offered the woman a ride from the casino in Hankinson to Fargo. She told the person she hit it big. The woman asked Villanueva for $2,000 and she said no. Police said the next day the woman's 17-year-old daughter allegedly came back and stole the purse.
You don't know the anxiety and stress it causes a person. You know, I'm lucky I didn't land in the hospital. I'm lucky.
Police ended up seizing the 17-year-old's cell phone where they believe there is evidence of the robbery. No one has been arrested yet.
Minnesota has an extra $2 million to help clear its rape kit backlog. The money comes from a federal grant for victim advocacy programs and investigations. A 2015 BCA report found that Minnesota had nearly 3,500 untested rape kits. At the time, the BCA said it would cost $4.4 million to completely clear the state's backlog.
'Tis the season for gift returns, and whether you admit to it or not, a lot of you will be hitting the stores, bringing back those presents that just didn't make the cut.
Valley News Team's Melanie Palmer joins us now to talk about some gift return rules to keep in mind to get a full refund. Melanie?
Yeah, Andrea and Mike, the number of people returning gifts this year is expected to be a lot. In fact, over half of shoppers plan to bring back one of their gifts, and nearly 20% are expected to return more than half of them. A consumer psychologist says the reason for the jump is because shoppers are pickier than ever, and they're not as worried about being discreet when it comes to returning their gifts. But before you return that present, here are some things to keep in mind. Always bring your receipt. Depending on the store's policy, you could end up with no refund at all if you don't have one. But in some cases, you can still get a store credit without one. However, it could be for the lowest recent sale price of that item. Bring your ID if you're making the return in person at a store. Experts say sometimes even if you do have a receipt, some stores still require a look at your ID. Lastly, if you're returning any electronics or an item that has been opened, be prepared to pay a restocking fee of up to 15%. And of course, if you end up not being able to return a gift you don't want, you can always donate it. It is, after all, this season of giving. Andrea, Mike.
All right, thanks so much, Melanie. January 3rd is expected to be one of the biggest days for holiday returns. United Parcel Service is expecting the returns to hit 1.3 million.
Valley News Live 10 at 10 continues with No Wait Weather.
All right, thanks for joining us on this Friday night. A look at our tower cam, the Valley Sky Cam, looking out to the west on Interstate 94. Those low clouds lingering, 24 degrees. Winds from the south-southeast are blowing at 11 miles per hour. Moorhead, you have 27 degrees out at your airport. Here's a look across the region, and we have 20s for almost everyone. 19 in Wadena, that's the cool spot, and it's still near 30 degrees in Jamestown. Oh, well, 18, the cool spot in Aberdeen. Nonetheless, here's a look at the snow showers that really blossomed over the Brainerd area, and those are now moving mainly between Duluth and Minneapolis on the I-35 corridor. As we take a look, things quieting down for us, although we're staying on the cloudy side. Hour-by-hour forecast, just in case you're up in the middle of the night tonight. Some snow showers still a possibility as we go through the overnight hours. Look at these temperatures, steady Eddie all night long, near 20 degrees for most of us. And then as we start our Saturday, something to keep in mind here. As warm air from the south makes its way up into this colder air mass and over the piles of snow that we have in place, it's going to wring out some moisture in the form of freezing drizzle, light snow, and maybe even some sleet. This means we'll have a chance for some very slippery road conditions, at least briefly, in the early half of the day. Watch where these move from first thing in the morning Saturday. As we go through the midday hours, they'll push into northwest Minnesota and then exit in the early afternoon. So watch for those slippery roads, mainly north of Highway 200 and into northern Minnesota as we go through the morning hours. Winds from the south will gust over 20 miles per hour, boosting temperatures in the south with just a few rays of sun into the low 30s, maybe a mid 30 or two down in the Southern Valley. As we look up north, the 30s make their appearance there as well, and then that's it. That is it for 30s. Better enjoy. And again, a reminder, watch out for those slippery roads. By the afternoon, things should be drying up, but we could have those slippery conditions in the Northern Valley. Near 30 to 35 for almost everyone. Now, we are watching the cold air mass pushing in. We've been talking about that all week. What we have not been talking about is the snow that's going to come with it. As far as how much, we're getting an idea now. Here is the American model showing the track of the snow from the Bismarck area through the Southern Valley. Notice the dark blue shades just south of Fargo in parts of northeast South Dakota. Those, by the time we get to Sunday night, will push into eastern Minnesota by Monday morning, leaving us with some snow. Now, this is the American model's track of the storm. If we compare that to the European model, which has been doing a dandy fine job over the last couple of rounds of snow, this one similarly starting near Bismarck, but carrying some of those heavier bands in the Fargo areas and points south of the Southern Valley. So both models agreeing that if you're in the far north, the impact will be lower. If you are in our southern counties, it will be more impactful. It's going to be that cold, fluffy snow that will blow around even with a little bit of wind out there. So we'll keep our eyes on that. And several inches will be possible. Here's what we're thinking with the track of the storm. Both models showing the Southern Valley will have the best chance at seeing significant accumulations. These darker colors, including Valley City, Jamestown, Fargo, and Point South, 3 to 6 inches likely. Some places picking up as many as 9 inches or so of that fluffy snow. Up to the north, a trace to 3 inches of snow. Behind that comes the blast of very cold air. And take a look at this sun pillar uploaded by Bob. We'll see a lot more sun pillars and some of those sun dogs with the icy weather we have coming our way. 23 with snow Sunday night into Monday morning, totaling upwards of a trace to 3 inches here, and south even more than that. Very frosty conditions into the middle of next week with lows in the teens and 20s below.
Speaking of that football game, the Bison football team is at home tomorrow against the Nichols University Colonels. The game starts at 2:30 live from the Fargo Dome and can be watched on ESPN3. Also, don't forget to tune in for the Farmers Union Insurance Bison football pregame show. That's at 1:30 on KVLY.
In a related story, a Minnesota woman is hoping to find 100 veterans who want to go to the Bison football game tomorrow. Alana Christensen received a donation of 100 tickets for tomorrow's game. And if you know of a veteran looking for tickets, the phone number is on your screen right now. It is 701-899-2578.